Hi there, my name is Taryn, and you're about to listen to the very first episode of a brand new Doctor Who podcast that I made with my friend Gail. This little section at the front is just to let you know that this episode has absolute trash audio quality, but we did have a conversation that we liked, so we didn't want to re-record the episode, but this is just to let you know that future episodes should sound more like this and less like, well, you'll see.
Oh, no! I hate that. That's so creepy.
I think that's the beginning of the first thing we'll have ever recorded is you saying you hate that. I didn't know he was going to have a voice.
That was so creepy. I didn't like that it was like if it had like audio effects on it. Like there was something.
No, that was
Oh no.
spooky. Oh, and I don't like how it says that like he's here.
Like,
it's very sci-fi. And on that note,
Discord actually just has a guy who sits here.
yeah, it's a real life Craig.
Recording.
This is like the jobs they set up people in like witness protection to do.
Yeah,
this is great. This is a 3-person podcast.
Welcome, Craig. We're so
Welcome,
excited
Craig.
to have you.
Okay. I was gonna say it's very sci-fi, but it's not. This is like modern day, like internet bullshit. So it's not even exciting. Unlike the episode of television that we are about to talk about, Series 1, Episode 1 of the, I guess, 2005 onwards revival of Doctor Who. Series 1, Episode 1, Rose, written by Russell T Davies, directed by... Keith Boak is what I wrote, but I have really bad handwriting, so I'm sorry, Keith, if I pronounced your name wrong. Produced by Phil Collinson, and I have a synopsis of the episode right here. This is like fully taken from the TARDIS wiki, which is it's just like a, I don't know, Wikipedia, but specifically for Doctor Who. It's a really funny thing because you can just look up like anything like dirt, and it'll give you like every appearance or like talk about Earth in the context of Doctor Who. It's really funny. But also like just there's one for sex. It's pretty funny. Anyways.
And someone had to write all of those.
Yes. It's really funny. I would check it out, except don't, because oh yeah, here's the thing. Man, this is a rough start. So welcome to The Long Way Around, a horribly named podcast in which two people go through all of the, I guess, rebooted version of Doctor Who starting in 2005 and going up until now. One of us, me, my name's Gail, nice to meet you, has seen nearly every episode, and you have seen none. Would you like to introduce yourself?
None-ish. Hi, my name is Taryn. I was going to ask when we were going to do the intro.
We're just fumbling, just like Rose is fumbling with that plastic arm.
Wow.
So
yeah, exactly like that. I was going to let you keep going and so
just see how long I go.
Go ahead. I mean, everything can be edited. At this point, we've referenced it enough that I might not edit this out.
Oh, it's going to be horrible.
No.
Yeah, it's like taking a balloon and just letting it go and just seeing how long it just flies through the air before crashing inevitably.
Yeah.
That's this. Anyways.
Sometimes magical things happen when you do that, and sometimes
magical things happen.
Horrible.
Yeah, sometimes people get hit in the face by balloons.
Yeah.
Plastic.
Sometimes it's like a hot air balloon that people are in, and it's going towards a mountain, and it doesn't stop in time.
You know what balloons are made out of? Plastic. On the topic of plastic.
Great segue. Okay, go ahead.
So, Series 1, Episode 1, Rose, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Keith Boak. I think that's his name. If I'm mispronouncing it or if I wrote it down wrong, I'm so sorry, Keith. Produced by Phil Collinson. Okay, 3 paragraphs of summary. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. On the 4th of March 2005, at the end of her day's work shift, Rose Tyler was asked to give lottery winnings to Henrik's chief electrician, Wilson. Unable to find him in the store's basement, Rose wandered into a storage room where she was almost killed by living plastic creatures called autons. When the ninth doctor pulled Rose away and ran with her. Jesus Christ. I'm so sorry for any fumbles I may have. Escaping together inside a lift, he pulled an auton's arm off. The doctor warned Rose he was going to use explosive against the relay transmitting to the autons and told her to run for her life. The doctor destroyed the source shortly after Rose escaped, leaving her jobless. It's a funny way of describing it, but we'll just go with it. Meeting the doctor again the next day when he tracked her down to her flat, Rose still had the arm from the store. The arm latched onto her face, and after a small skirmish, the doctor deactivated it and left, telling Rose to forget him. After searching for online information about the doctor on Mickey's computer in a really, really funny scene, Rose met with Clive Finch, who showed her clippings of the doctor's appearance throughout history. Though she dismissed him as a conspiracy freak, she returned to Mickey's car, where, unbeknownst to her, Mickey had been replaced with an Auton duplicate, and they went out to dinner at Tony Joe's Pizzeria. At the restaurant, the doctor found the Auton Mickey and pulled his head off in a scuffle. He also did other things involving a cork, which is the funniest part of the episode, but we don't need to get into that right now. Escaping from Auton Mickey's attacking body, the Doctor and Rose entered the TARDIS, where the Doctor used the head to trace the signal to the next scene consciousness. However, they were pursued by Autons disguised as living statues before making their way into the consciousness space beneath the London Eye, where they found the real Mickey alive. When the consciousness refused to leave Earth and began the invasion, the Autons took the Doctor prisoner. I mean, that's kind of a stretch. They just held him and confiscated the anti-plastics he was holding. Unable to escape the Nestine consciousness base without access to the TARDIS, Rose used her gymnastic skills. Again, bit of a stretch. She held onto a rope and the anti-plastic into the vat.
I couldn't do that, so.
Okay, then I guess they are gymnastic skills. She got a bronze. And you know what? We're cheering for her. Unable to escape the Nestine consciousness space without access to the TARDIS, Rose used her gymnastic skills to kick the Autons and the anti-plastic into the vat containing the Nestine consciousness. This saved the Doctor's life and destroyed the consciousness, foiling the invasion. Escaping with Rose and the real Mickey to the safety of the TARDIS, the Doctor asked Rose to travel with him. She declined, so he left before returning and stating that the TARDIS also traveled in time, causing her to kiss and thank Mickey goodbye before running into the TARDIS. And that's episode 1. You know, again, not my words. That's the words of the TARDIS wiki. So I will be writing my own from now on. But I didn't for this one because this is mostly about why you agreed to do this with me in the first place. And then also talking a bit about Doctor Who.
We'll write our own summaries from now on, but I think
yes, we will. That was really long, but okay.
It was a good summary though. Like you have to know what happens in the episode.
Yeah, it's a bit of a wacky episode. It's mostly character work. Though I will say, watching it, I don't know if you felt this because, like I fumblingly said, you've seen like none of the show, and I've seen this episode maybe 5 times over. That's like a rough estimate. It's probably more. It felt very quick to me this time, though. It's really fast paced, and I was wondering if you noticed that.
I think compared to other TV that I've been watching recently, it's definitely fast paced, but I didn't know if that was like a product of its time. But I think like I don't know, like all 30-minute like there's so few 30. No, it's not 30 minutes.
30
it's
minutes.
A whole hour. That's why it's so fast.
It's 45
right?
minutes. It's 45 minutes.
It feels like it's 30 minutes.
I know. No,
so that's
it has to like
being fast.
It has to do so much in 45 minutes because it's like that meme, like hair dye was seeping into her skull. She had $5 to her name. She had one chance. That's this, except we're talking about 2005 show Doctor Who because
I don't know that meme. But
it's about like singers. Like she had like $10 and one chance, and she killed it. Like that's like the joke. But in this context, it's beloved British science fiction show Doctor Who because it was cancelled in 1989 and then didn't get picked up in 1996 after the TV movie, which I'm sure we'll watch on some special like one-off where you just watch that and talk about it. Really thinking in advance here, but it didn't get picked up after that, so it was later sort of brought back from the dead very tentatively, and show ran by Russell T Davies. He was put in as the showrunner. And I do want to get one thing. I'm tangent after tangent here. I do want to get a hold of his book called The Writer's Tale, because it details like his experience on the first 4 seasons, and there's like some really cool tidbits that I think would just be fun to include. Anyways, they let him do pretty much whatever he wanted to do. They were just like, go. And he wrote this, and it's interesting knowing what I know. It is the platform, or not the platform, the basis upon which like I would say most companion introductions have sort of built off of. Like, it is kind of the blueprint, because like again, let it be known that I have not seen the classic series, and neither have you.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that there's like the bones of this are in that.
Yeah.
Like the nature of Doctor Who is that it builds and builds and builds upon itself while also changing and morphing, and it's like a long game of telephone, essentially. A really, really, really long game of telephone, but it had to be the blueprint for at least everyone who's coming in to watch it, because maybe not most people, but a good portion of people, myself included, this was the first time I had ever seen it.
Yeah.
With all that rambling out of the way, what did you think of the episode? Because we watched this episode, for context sake, we watched it 2 days ago. We watched it on Friday. We're recording this on a Sunday. And we didn't talk about we talked during it. The first thing you said was, this looks like Spy Kids.
Yeah.
And you also said, this looks like That's So Raven, which made me laugh. The intro does look like that.
It was specifically the intro looks like That's So Raven. I think the Spy Kids part was more of the like plastic men.
Because they
like
look like the thumb people.
Yeah, they're the thumb people they have a different name, but I can't remember what they are.
They aren't like the thumb people created from someone's imagination.
They were built by Floop, but I don't remember.
You know more details about Spy Kids than I could ever hope to.
I remember his name because it just always has stood out in my mind. I'm pretty sure that's like the first Spy Kids movie, and it's the guy who like has a castle, and he's supposed to be the villain, I think, but he's really fun. I
always confuse Spy Kids with Sharkboy and Lava Girl, because they're really similar. Yeah. Like, in everything, maybe. Yeah. I think Spy Kids had more of a budget. Anyways.
Yeah, well, no, Doctor Who, like this, it was all happening at like the same time. Like,
oh, totally. No, absolutely.
The parts of Doctor Who that were reminding me of that also are in Sharkboy and Lava Girl.
Yeah.
I feel like I should rewatch at some point.
No dream journals in Doctor Who, unfortunately. Actually, that may be a lie. I can't say anything. Not because I'm spoiling you. I can't say anything because it probably did happen. Nearly 60 years of television. I'm sure dream journals have been a thing.
Probably.
That's like the best line delivery I've ever seen in anything. Take him to the principal's office and have him expelled. That was a bad rendition, but it's the best line.
Yeah, it's so really memorable. Good. Like, it sticks in your brain even when you're okay. This is not.
This is not a Sharkboy and Lava Girl podcast.
He ruined my dream journal. I did not. Mr. Electric, send him to the principal's office and have him expelled.
Okay.
So basically, what I was gonna say was that we did not talk really during this or afterwards at all. So I'm just gonna let you go. Okay. Especially because I've been blabbing for the past forever. So just go. Episode 1, minute 1. What are your thoughts?
I can try to go. Okay. I think for context, because we kind of did context earlier and then kind of lost it also. I am aware of Doctor Who. I've seen some of the characters, and I think that I had seen this episode many years ago.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Can you please give me a rundown of the characters you have seen?
The characters I've seen. Okay.
Just describe them for me.
I know Christopher.
Not the Doctor, Christopher. That's the nice
Who is
dog
a character?
about.
How do you say his last name?
Eccleston.
Eccleston. I've been
Well,
saying
you
it.
know him because of his Instagram posts.
I know him because of his really great opinions on the Queen.
Yeah.
His singular
I
opinion
hope
on
he's
the
having a
Queen.
great month.
I do hope for the best for Christopher. I'm probably gonna say his actual name a few times while we're here, but that's okay. I know that he's number 9, and I know that David Tennant is number 10, and that David Tennant is in Good Omens, and
Sure is. That was your first exposure to David Tennant, which is fascinating.
It was not my
Not your
first
first,
exposure, but it was the only one that matters, because the other thing I knew him from is now it was always bad, but it's extra bad now.
What is it?
It was Harry Potter. It was he
Oh.
played a
He's
minor
good in
character
that,
in one of
though.
the movies. Yeah,
I mean,
he's good in
franchise.
everything.
The what was it? Like the very like the tongue thing he did in that was like very
So scary.
like Joker, but like not which Joker am I? Heath Ledger? I'm bad with names. He did like a tongue thing that was like very snake-like, but he also did that.
He was really gross in that movie.
He was really gross in that movie,
and it was great. Like, I think that proves he has
He's
some range. I had also seen his version of Hamlet
He's great in Hamlet.
He makes a very good Hamlet. And then I saw Good Omens. Anyway, this is all just to say that David Tennant is a great guy. I saw a lot of people thirsting over him on the internet in like 2012 to 2000, whenever he stopped being the Doctor, and probably after that.
He started in 2006 and ended in 2009.
Okay, so it was after. It was definitely after everyone was still thirsting after him, I guess.
Yeah. Which is wild to me. But
Matt
whatever.
Smith, who is pathetic and was on the ground.
Hi, future Taryn popping in here to specify that we're not calling Matt Smith, the actual guy, pathetic. We're more marveling at the fact that he often plays pathetic characters and does it really well. We just wanted to make sure you knew that we were not bullying Matt Smith. Thank you very much.
Is currently on House of the Dragon,
which I'm a big fan of. I'm not like gonna tell you to watch the Dragon Incest show, but it's really fun.
Oh boy, we're not.
This is not.
I don't want to open the
can
of worms. Gail has seen, I assume, Game of Thrones also, right?
It's funny. I'm more of a book reader than anything. I caught the last 2 seasons where I had not seen or read anything, and I caught the last few seasons with my parents, and I thought it was entertainment, surely, but even I knew, I was like, that was kind of a weird ending, and so I read the books, and the books are good. I'm doing a reread right now, and House of the Dragon is much more of a adaptation of the books than Game of Thrones ever was, and it's a prequel. Anyways, this is not in A Song of Ice and Fire.
Yeah. So it was entertainment is not something you ever want someone to just say about your show.
No,
so Game of Thrones people.
It's not.
I'm glad that you're making this other. I actually have no idea if they're also involved in the next show. Anyway, Matt Smith.
Different people.
Matt Smith, who's in that.
He's great.
The next Doctor after that, and then I believe there was a woman who I don't know the name of.
You're missing Peter Capaldi, but he's
he's the old guy. I remember him.
Yeah.
No, I remember him. When he got hired, people were really angry, and they were like, "Why is he still just like a white man?"
Because he's so good.
He is really good, but I saw criticisms at the time that were like, "Why is it still a white man?" Which makes sense.
Which is understandable, but a lot of the criticism was like just kind of rude and like he's old, and I'm
probably, yeah.
That was stupid, especially because he was so good. And like
you can get an old white guy in before you can get other people.
And then it was Jodie Whittaker, who it still is at the time of recording. She's ending her tenure within the next few months. We don't know. Okay, so importantly, for context, for people who are keeping up with Who right now, the centenary, is that how you pronounce that word? It's the 100th anniversary of the BBC, and so they're airing Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor's last episode, as a part of that celebration. We don't know when her episode's airing right now. I might not even catch it live, but her episode will air, her era will end, and then we have like a whole year off until I'm assuming November of 2023, when the 60th anniversary happens. Filming people have been spotted. I'm not going to say who's been spotted, because and you'll find out.
I'm not even gonna know
One thing
who
I
it
will
is,
say, because it's not a
probably.
spoiler, one of the Heartstopper kids is filming.
Oh, that's exciting.
The girl, Yasmin Finney, she plays
I don't know any of their names. Is it Elle?
She plays Elle.
Okay. Love Elle.
She's going to be in at least part of the 60th anniversary. It might be a multiple part thing. She's in that. I know who she's playing. I'm not going to say who she's playing to you, because I'm going to let you just.
Why would you already know who she's? Is she also a character who gets rebooted? I can't. It doesn't matter.
No. She's a new character because
you
I
just know.
I lurk. I just know, and like my close personal friend Russell T Davies told me. That's a lie.
Oh, thank you for.
I just know because I'm on like Reddit looking at like the filming photos. Anyways, that's happening. That's being
We've done this before. We find out about characters who don't exist all the time. Should we also give that context or no?
We should give that context. Important note: we met online. When did we meet? How long have we been mutuals? Or also known as friends?
It's been at least a year. I don't know. It's been more than a year at this point, I think, but I couldn't tell you the actual day. But I think that I came in to a Discord that you set up. I feel like I had to be following you before that to find out about.
We weren't talking ever.
But we weren't talking before that.
No, we just interacted.
And it was
importantly, what was it for?
The Stranger Things Discord.
Yes, it was.
It's still active today.
It's very exclusive, though. Sorry.
Extremely exclusive.
You have
Only
to find
the most annoying, obnoxious people. I love everyone in there. This is definitely a joke.
And they'll be the people. Maybe if this goes badly, some of the only people who will ever
listen to this.
We love you all dearly. Who knows? I know that I'm not going to name names because I don't want to just name people's names in a podcast. But I know some of them are like fans of Doctor Who, and the ones who are, you are welcome to do an episode with us anytime.
Please.
Anytime. Anyways,
we're people who get a little overzealous about certain television. So we like knew about stuff that was going to happen in season 4 of Stranger Things before it happened. So I'm not surprised to hear that you know whoever this actress is playing, but I have no context, so it doesn't really matter anyway.
It doesn't matter. She's going to be in it. And then after the 60th anniversary, people are thinking mid-2024. Ncuti Gatwa, who is in Sex Education, playing Eric, he's going to be the 14th Doctor, and it's going to be a grand old time, because I would say, first off, my first reaction to hearing who's going to be the 14th Doctor is, my, he's young, but he's not young. He's 29. He just looks like a baby.
He's 29?
I know.
Oh, wow. Okay, I also was excited about that news, even though I hadn't actually seen.
He's going to be great. I'm really excited.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I'm sure he's going to make a really great and charismatic.
Important thing
Doctor.
Important thing to state is that that's going to come. Oh, that's being helmed writing wise. The showrunner for both the 60th and onward with Ncuti Gatwa, and maybe beyond, is the same showrunner for this series that we're talking about right now through 4. So Russell T Davies, he is the main guy. He took a while off and won a bunch of awards for other stuff, but he's coming back, which brings us back to now and your thoughts on Series 1, Episode 1, Rose. I think this is the 3rd time we've done it, but maybe this time it'll stick.
So anyway, as we started, it's very 2000s heavy, very 2005, right? So it feels and looks like that, which I really appreciated.
So heavy. It's like the low-rise jeans. Can we talk about Jackie's fit, or should we get into it a bit later?
Jackie's fit. I remember her robe.
The robe was great. We all that scene.
We'll talk about the robe. We'll talk about it.
We'll get there. No, I meant she's wearing it in the end of the episode, the acid wash jacket, matching purse, and acid wash jeans.
Yeah.
It's a really good
I
outfit. Anyways,
didn't-
go. I need to shut the fuck up. Go.
Mute yourself.
I know.
Hey, I didn't realize that the purse matched. But okay, so it's
It
a period piece as we've established from the early 2000s. I would have been 5 when this came out. Came out the same year as Pride and Prejudice, which is
I would have
important
been 3.
for some reason. Oh boy.
Yeah,
So,
sorry.
it's okay. So I also really liked this is gonna sound sad, but I haven't watched anything that has people who don't speak in American accents in a while, so it was really fun
yeah.
to hear all the different accents of the characters. And I think like there's probably specific like area, like it's probably like they're from certain places.
Well, I mean, Rose says it in the episode. How come you sound like you're from the north? He says the great line, which I believe is the 8th Dr. Paul McGann's favorite line in all of Doctor Who. Lots of planets have a north, which is really sweet.
Yeah. Oh,
but yeah, no, the accent stuff being done here is really interesting and really cool because they're both very working class accents. Which is just, we'll get more into the really, frankly, good politics of this series, especially later. But keep going. Yes, a lot of accents.
I love their accents. Oh boy, I should. My notes are just kind of live comments on things.
Just go. Yeah, let's do it.
I think that the mannequins are really horrific, and I think it's funny because it's supposed to be a family show. But I was genuinely upset about how creepy they were.
Oh, they really skirt around that family show label sometimes.
Okay.
There are a lot of jokes, both about sex and also just like, oh, that's really dark. So.
Okay, really dark.
Yeah, and obviously we'll see more of that in Torchwood, the spin-off, which is rated R. And boy, do they have fun with that.
Well, I'm glad they're making use of it. That's so funny to make that jump because I feel like kids aren't gonna know if you like. I don't know. Like so my presumption about Doctor Who is that there's literally families just like sit around and watch it and have been doing that for decades, right?
Yeah.
So like, I mean, some people watch some people watch R-rated things with their family.
Torchwood is the fucked up gay cousin. Bisexual cousin.
Okay. Well, that's fun. I'm sure we'll get to that eventually also. But yeah, I was terrified of the mannequins, and I know that there's gonna be the statues that also move later because I've heard about the
that's the angels.
And so I think this was kind of, it's not foreshadowing, but it felt in my brain kind of like it was, just because I know that there's like other creepy human things to move.
I mean, definitely. It's not foreshadowing at all, but I get what you mean by that. But like visually, it's indicative of things to come because Doctor Who has such a shit budget, always, but especially then, that they don't have the money to do CG, or at least good CG, as we can see. So most everything they do is practical. And that's still modern day. Most of the monsters are practical, or aliens are practical.
Nice. And I found myself recently being like kind of, and I have no right to do it because I'm not like a movie expert or anything, but I enjoy the idea of practical more than CG just because I've seen a lot of CG that doesn't work, and also I'm aware that there's some like industry issues with like people who are in charge of that or like rushed through it, probably not super well. So not to say that you shouldn't still do CG because like those people need jobs, but like it's a problem with CG that should be fixed, but it also means that I really appreciate practical more now than I think I used to. Which makes me wonder about Sharkboy and Lava Girl and all the how much of those are practical because I've never thought about it until this moment.
The main practical versus CG thing is that I believe, I could be talking out my ass right now, and if I'm wrong, just let me know. But I'm pretty sure practical effects and this is speaking really broadly, so it probably varies from country to country. I believe practical effects, since they've been in use for obviously so much longer, they have like things like unions, and better working conditions generally, though I'm sure there are outliers. Whereas I know for a fact in the US, VFX workers, there's a lot of non-union work where they're being rushed by things like, Disney, the, MCU machine, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. I think that the effects were a positive in the show. And I think that it's something that people can kind of go back and be like, this is really messing with my ability to watch the show. But I didn't mind them. I don't think like the lava monster wasn't practical, was it? Because it didn't look like it was.
No.
Okay, good. Good. Because I was going to say it should have looked better. It should have looked a lot better if it was practical.
No.
So it's really like the VFX stuff that is, it stands out, but I don't mind it.
It's horrible.
It's Doctor Who from 2005. What do I expect?
It's endearing though. It has a character that is really, I don't know, it's really charming. And it's funny that you mentioned the lava monster, because the voice actor for lava monster, whose name I do not have pulled up, sorry sir, he voices like all of the modern Who, like aliens and creatures, or he voices a lot of them at least. The ones that don't have, obvious faces and mouths.
Yeah. So he's like the guy who does, I don't know why I'm doing visual stuff.
They're just raising their hands in sort of a monster way right now for a visual component.
The guy who's like in every horror thing, and he like he does like, fuck, Tumblr's really into him, but I don't remember his name right now.
It's like that lady who aspires to be the stepsister in every Cinderella movie.
Yeah, some people just have their niche, and it's like it goes beyond typecasting, because it's not like you're always going to be put in this spot.
They're choosing it.
If they're choosing it, but it's also like that's the person you get. If you want that thing, you want them, and it's not like because they're the expert,
master of their craft.
Exactly. So, cool to hear that guy has other, or like continues to work with this show.
Making money. If he left, he's definitely probably coming back. But as far as I know, he like works with Doctor Who pretty regularly.
Okay, one thing that I really enjoyed about this episode, and that I'm assuming will probably go on at least during this series, because they're called series and not seasons.
They are called series. Get used to it.
Which I might get wrong sometimes, but I'm gonna try.
It's fine. I'll definitely get it wrong.
Yeah. So something I really appreciated was that as someone who went into this episode without prior knowledge of the classic series, and which I assume most other people who are like big fans of Doctor Who right now probably also didn't watch the classic series.
It's usually that they watch now and then they go back. Yeah.
Yeah. So like the introduction is not it's not heavy-handed. Like something I really appreciated is that the Doctor is not introduced as like, here's the Doctor, let's explain everything about him right away.
They're not exposition dumping.
That was the word I was trying to remember. So exposition, they don't exposition dump in this series, because you're watching Rose, who's like a regular person.
Yeah.
Slowly learn, like go through this stuff, meet the guy who's like really weird and try to figure him out, but she doesn't get all of the right information right away, because she's talking to Clive, who's like,
Clive is great.
He's kind of a conspiracy theorist, but he's not really, because he's like on the money. He's just wrong about like he's wrong about it being like a thing passed from father to son, but otherwise he's right, because it's like an alien.
That's a totally
following him.
I really liked that, because while it sounds crazy, like to me, because I'm like, that's not real. It is like the logical thing you'd assume.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I wouldn't assume that, man, all these fathers and sons have the exact same outfit.
Yeah. Well, you can pass.
Also, wait, now is the time when we talk about that horrible Photoshop job done on the Kennedy photo.
It was so bad. I screamed when it happened.
Yes, you did.
The photos of... Okay, so the Doctor's photoshopped into a bunch of different moments in history, and the only one I remember is the JFK assassination.
Okay, and importantly, and I mentioned...
Funny!
Talk about how funny it is, please.
It's because
it's so bad.
It canonizes that he was there, And it's the same face on all of the photos. Like, they don't move his face at all so that it looks
They
different.
don't.
It's the same photo
And
of
the drawings
Christopher.
are better because they're drawings. It's like, oh, it's just like a sketch, but he's in like the same pose.
And it's not.
It's quite questionable quality.
I don't want to say they didn't try, but they didn't really. Like, they did. It seems like they got an intern who was working on the show, and they were like, "Hey, Jeff, can you come in? Do you know how to use Photoshop? It's 2005. Almost nobody knows how to do this." And he was like, "Yeah, I do that on the side sometimes because I'm like 18." And they were like, "Cool, Jeff, go ahead."
And did they pay him? Maybe.
And he was an unpaid intern, and he did a great job. And they wrote him a really nice recommendation letter, but he was starving.
Does the UK do unpaid internships?
I have no idea.
It might be a better country than us in that regard.
But they're not in a lot of others, so I might have to Google
I do like. I will mention a favorite tweet of mine, which is that in regards to Doctor Who, the BBC pays in ham sandwiches and exposure. Backtracking a little bit, first thing we do is we meet Rose. What are your thoughts on Rose when we meet her?
Immediately, I don't remember, but I know that people, including you, like her a lot. I also think
I do love her dearly.
I think she was really funny, especially when she hangs up the phone when Jackie is trying to get her to
at the end of the episode.
That wasn't even the time I was talking about. So
she does it multiple times.
Jackie was, I think, talking on the phone to her different friends who were calling in to make sure Rose is okay after the explosion. And I think she calls I don't know if it's someone who calls her or what, but all I know is that Rose, like, takes the phone from Jackie very graciously and then hangs it up immediately. And I was like, that is how you establish a character as being very funny. Because she's not, like, she has just experienced something that was really strange, and she doesn't completely understand what's going on. She's about to go figure that out. So she doesn't have time for Jackie being like, you need to get money for it, and also I'm enjoying the attention of all these people who are asking me about my daughter.
I love Jackie so much.
Jackie's so great. Great character.
Of Jackie, should we talk about the scene where we were both saying no repeatedly? The Doctor enters the day after he meets Rose. He looks through her cat door, which should be nailed shut, but I'm assuming he undid those screws. Comes in, asks Rose why she's there, even though it's her house or her flat, I guess.
He didn't know.
Which is so funny. I love how much of a jerk he is. It's really it's fun. He comes in. Rose says that he's there to like interview her about like the experience, which is pretty smart, like on the nose sort of like, I don't know, story for him, because what the fuck else are you gonna say? He stops by the door where Jackie is, and well, to make it wasn't long, but boy, it felt long. Story short, she like comes on to him like, strange man, when I'm in my dressing gown.
And he goes, yes.
He says, yes, and she goes, anything could happen. And he goes, no.
And I think that she came and did her job as the comic relief, and I appreciate that scene.
Good.
It is very funny, and it's great for both of them because so also in this episode, you're like meeting the Doctor for the first time, and you don't really know what he's about. You just know that I don't even know, like, you know that he's powerful. I'm trying to remove it from
powerful is not the word I use. Influential, sure.
It's influential, okay.
He influenced Clive.
Yeah, he's got stuff going on.
He's got presence.
He's got more going on than we know about as little pathetic humans, which is not how he would describe
or
us.
Apes, as he described us.
He would be much more mean about it.
Yeah.
But I appreciate that scene. I'm trying to...
You laughed really hard.
Jumped around a little bit. I did laugh really hard. I was just surprised. I was like, out of...
We're going there? Yeah.
Family show.
Family show.
I have no idea how old Christopher is in that
I'd say
episode.
late 30s, maybe? I don't know.
How old Jackie is. I feel like when I watched that the first time, I was a teenager and I didn't remember it at all. But as like an older person now, I'm like, okay. I like the scene. I think it might be immediately after the Jackie scene or immediately before it. But he like looks in the mirror and I think he's looking at this version of himself for the first time, which is something I'm not supposed to know. I feel like, but every Doctor Who probably had some amount of context beforehand to be like they reboot this guy every time with a different actor.
It's not every single series.
Okay.
By the way, I'm not going to tell you how often it happens because that's a fun surprise.
That's okay.
It's not a surprise. I'm not going to tell you right now. But what I will say is that I was on the wiki earlier before we were recording, and though Stephen Moffat saw that line and, like you did, thought, oh, this means it's the first time he's seeing himself, Russell T Davies said it's not, and that he's just sort of, because he's had so many faces, he's more prone to, like, look at himself as if he's not, like, him, if that makes any sense, as, like, an outsider and just, like, noticing things, or he just doesn't look at himself in the mirror that much. He's not really vain. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's goal-oriented.
Which makes sense, because he's an alien. He doesn't have the same stuff going on, but so I feel like he pulls on his ears or something and is like,
they're big.
Not that bad. I don't remember what he's
not that bad, but the ears, I think, are his words. Because they're a bit noticeable.
As a series writer, because it's like, what? So did they have Christopher before this, and then they wrote that in for him, or did they write that and then they were like, "That's the guy"?
That's funny.
Yeah,
it's very. Did they have to tell Finn Wolfhard that he looked a little bit like a frog on the set of Stranger Things season 1?
Yeah, like who?
Yeah.
Who wrote? I'm not gonna. Yeah, so
you gotta hope that they're okay with making fun of themselves a little bit.
I'm sure they are. I'm sure Christopher is, because he was a whole ass adult by the time it was happening. After you get paid a certain amount of money, I feel like you're like, sure, whatever.
Sure. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, but they have that fun establishing line, which like totally reads like it's the first time he's seeing himself, but apparently it isn't. Whatever. Doesn't
Either
matter.
way, it does an establishing thing that doesn't involve. You get the idea that looks like different people over time,
and he has a special.
Really, all you need to know.
Yeah, he has a very unique relationship to his appearance and bodies in general, I guess you could say.
And looking like a human, because I don't know what the content. Like, I don't know, and I'm sure we're not going to get to talk about this yet. But like, I don't know what he is supposed to be outside of. Like, is he in a body that like is different than what he usually looks like, or is it like
all good questions that I'm not going to answer.
I'm also not going to bring up. I'm going to bring it up for two. We've also watched. Both of us have seen Supernatural at least part of the way through, and it is also like that's kind of the thing that I was thinking about is like
is it like a Vespa situation?
Angel, yeah. So the main guy who plays an angel, and that is the main guy, Casty.
he is the main guy to me.
He's the only thing that matters in that show. So he's like in a vessel. He like is in a guy, and the angels kind of switch.
Angels are another thing. It's a common thing in like fantasy or even sci-fi media. Like the essence or soul is a separate entity to the body, and you're wondering if that applies to the Doctor,
or if it's just like. Because some people, it's also like there's some sci-fi where you just change your appearance. So it's the same body, but you can morph it to look different,
like a shapeshifter.
Yeah, like a shapeshifter. So I don't know what the Doctor's deal is yet, but I think that they did. Yeah,
it's interesting. I'm going to dance around this real carefully, but they brought up when he's talking to the plastic monster, the Nistine consciousness, as it were. He said, I could be butchering this, but it's to the effect of, I wasn't a part of that. I wasn't a part of the war. And we can't understand the Nestine consciousness because he's just sort of screaming, or making monster noises, as it were. But I'm not going to elaborate on that. But the way he talks about himself and the way he is discussed, both in this episode and throughout the season, really, it really sets up, like, I imagine to older viewers who had seen the original series, like, what happened in between there and here, and what's the gap? Like, it's not the important thing about this, and I'm assuming this is basic information for anyone who's seen the show, unless you're coming in blind and like you've seen the first episode and only
More
this,
power
it's
to
crazy.
you. You should
Which
do
is,
that. You
it's
should watch
you and
this
Sharon.
along with us.
It's you and Sharon, and that's about it. But it's not a reboot. It's a continuation, just with a canonical gap in time, and it does a really good job of acknowledging that there was a gap in time where there was no, I guess, doctor, as it were, and now there is. Like, that is a very delicate line to walk, I think, in rebooting a show or restarting, I guess. And I think it's done really well. But I also think that that's kind of only something you can appreciate if you've seen some of it. So I imagine you won't have too much to say.
I don't think you can confirm or deny, but the way that you just said that made me think that it was like Avatar: The Last Airbender, where he just disappears.
How do you mean?
Aang just disappears, and then is
it's not that type of situation.
Okay, cool.
That's not a spoiler. It's not.
Denied then. Yeah, no, I really liked that as part of, on the same kind of train of thought we are on, the information about the war that we got, because it's not a lot, but you get the sense that
something happened.
Like something bigger is going on. Like he says a line about like, you, like, humans go and like live for your lives or whatever, and then I'm not going to get any of these lines right, and then there's a war going on. I
mean, you lot, all you do is eat chips, go to bed and watch telly, while all the time underneath you there's a war going on.
Which is such a funny line out of context. It sounds like he's the conspiracy theorist. But yeah, it's subtle storytelling, and it's done really, really well, and it continues. So that's a through line through a lot of it.
So, that's a lot of that. What else do I have?
So we've gone over Rose. We've gone over Jackie as insofar as how she is in the story now, which isn't too much, but spoiler alert, I guess. We'll see more of Jackie.
Nice. How about Mickey?
Should we talk about Mickey?
We should talk about Mickey. He kind of exists. I walked out of this episode not feeling much either way about Mickey. Like, I think that I think he's funny.
Yeah.
As a character to exist, but you don't really know much about him other than like he really cares about football and wants to go see a game of football, even though Rose has just been through some shit. Like they have to set him up.
Bombing.
They have to set him up as kind of like it's like a very normal group of people, which I appreciate, because a lot of shows are like, we're gonna make this about the most special people on Earth.
And this is not that.
And this is the exact opposite of that. But Mickey is definitely just like, he's just some guy, as we've said, and he's dating Rose, and he has to be set up in a way where he's not like you think you think that they're good people, and you like kind of care about their relationship because you have to go get Mickey because he's the guy that kind of gets
his head melts.
Yeah, and his head melts, but not really. And so
and the cork gets him in the forehead, and it's the funniest thing you've ever seen.
Good. And it comes out his mouth afterward, and it's great. But it's not really Mickey. So spoiler.
No, it's not.
I had no idea.
Plastic Mickey was one of my favorite parts of the episode. How the fuck did Rose not notice anything?
Hey, it was wild that she didn't notice, but I was just I was along for the ride at that point, because it's like once you see those effects, you're like, okay, I'm just gonna
His skin
get
looks
on
like
board.
gray almost and shiny.
Yeah. Oh, but like I was saying, like Mickey has to be set up as a person. It's okay. We do this all the time. Mickey has to be set up as a person who you like care about enough to care what happens to him, but not enough that you're not sad when Rose goes off with the doctor at the end.
You did think, as we were watching this, you're like, I thought he died. Like,
I literally thought he was dead.
No, they don't throw away characters that easily.
Yeah, and I think
he's inoffensive. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just some guy. Like you don't want them to be. He fulfills his role. That was another thing. So in my brain, I thought that from my memory, that was like nothing of the one time I saw this episode. I thought that it was like the people actually turned the plastic mannequins, and I guess that they didn't, but this did leave me with some extra, was that all of the mannequins at the beginning, not to become CinemaSins, but all the mannequins at the beginning are like regular mannequins, like they don't look like other people. So are they not actually other people? Because Mickey's looks like him, and then there's a bunch of mannequins, and we have no idea if those are based on other people, and they're just
okay. I'm gonna try and give you an explanation here, and this is just coming from my own head. Okay. You don't sound like CinemaSins. That's an understandable question to have. Nestine Consciousness, Living Plastic. They're called Autons, but it's funny. They're not called that at any point in the episode. They're only called that in the credits. The Autons being mannequins. Where you
got that from, yeah.
Yeah. I think that's like one of the few times this happens, but it doesn't happen too often. Usually they say the name of the thing. Okay, so the Nestine Consciousness is the plastic monster. Autons are mannequins, anything made of plastic. We saw mostly mannequins, which makes sense. They are humanoid, and you can put someone in a costume and have them walk around, or control a robot to make it do that. I think the thing is that they can convert living things to plastic, or make copies of people, which is what they did in the case of Mickey. So we thought Mickey was turned into plastic, which he could have been, but in this case they had a backup, which was the real Mickey. Okay. Which Rose later commented, oh, you like stink or something, which is, Rose, there are bigger things you gotta worry about, girl. Just kind of funny.
Yeah. Okay, so
that's the deal with the Autons and the Nestine Consciousness.
That does make me less worried. I also think that part of getting used to this being a family show after not watching a lot of that recently was the fact that Rose like gets upset at the doctor when she thinks Mickey might have died, but it's not that upset. Like it's like she yells at him and she looks and she like frowns, and then after that she's like, okay, let's go. And it's really funny. You don't want to kill the vibe of the episode when
you don't want to kill the vibe, but in real life she would be fucking devastated, even if Mickey wasn't like, even if Mickey was just some guy, even if they weren't dating, she'd be really upset. But we don't have time to stop and dwell on that, most importantly because Mickey's not dead. Clearly she wasn't that broken up about it, because she runs off with the doctor at the end.
Yeah, like I still, like I don't know. I thought that Mickey was kind of dead, and so the whole time I was like, Rose, literally not reacting much at all, and then she did. Okay, on the subject though, I'm pretty fucking sure Clive died in this episode.
Oh, so okay. I noticed that as we were watching. I don't think anyone knows. Do we think like Rose ever like looked for him again? He got fucking shot dead.
I was
like kind of sad. I was like, man, why don't we ever see him again? Definitely dead.
He doesn't show up so he's like at the mall when the mannequin thing happens with his wife and son. And the mannequin's hand opens and shoots him. And then his wife and son gasp, but it doesn't show anything other than it was aimed at Clive, and then they run away, and then you see his wife and son later without him. So the only assumption is that Clive is dead. And we don't care, I guess.
He's Clive.
Even though, like, I love a conspiracy theorist character as long as they're not a piece of shit. And Clive came in, like,
Even
big,
if they're a piece of shit in some cases.
and some, yeah, but I ignore it. Clive was fine as far as characters go. Not to say that we should have brought him, but he did die, and there wasn't a lot of follow up to that. And I get it because Rose barely knew him. But
yeah, but it is wild because I remember Clive, but it is interesting because while there are really good minor characters who would like show up once or twice and then are never seen again in Doctor Who, I don't know. I guess Clive seemed kind of special. Maybe it was just this time. I mean, is that the name of the episode? Rest in peace, Clyde or Clive. Now it has to be Clyde, I think, because I just missaid it. Rest in peace, Clive.
Renamed in postmortem.
His name was Craig when I was thinking about the episode. So he's lucky that I got it kind of right.
Oh God!
There is
haunting us right now. He's the recording.
Oh my God! I know. For context's sake, we're recording this over Discord audio, but the little bot that records the audio is named Craig. Yeah, I just think we should pay some attention to the line that Jackie says when Rose comes back from the explosion.
I know, it's on the telly. It's everywhere. She's lucky to be alive. Honestly, it's aged her. Skin like an old Bible. Walking in now, you think I was her daughter.
Which is so funny and so rude.
Mm-hmm. Jackie is a national treasure.
Oh, yes, she is.
And I hope that they take her on some space adventures eventually.
No comment.
She's really funny. Listen.
She's a recurring character, so you'll see her again. She's great. The scene in which the Doctor gets strangled by the arm is really fucking funny. Christopher Eccleston is hamming it the fuck up, and it is a joy to watch.
Yeah, I think it's really great.
So silly.
I want to talk about Rose for a second because she, on top of not noticing Mickey is Ken, essentially, is Ryan Gosling in the Barbie movie. She doesn't.
A movie that Shuti Gatwa will be in. It's all full
I didn't know that. Look at that.
Yeah, he's going to play one of the Kens. Continue. Wow. Fuck, sorry.
I didn't know there were multiple Kens. Okay, so Rose, she does not realize that. She also thinks at the very beginning of the episode when the mannequins walk out that they are students who are pranking her, which is hilarious. And I'm like, what is the backstory of your life where you think that is a normal thing? And also, who do you know who like does
I love her so
really
much.
good makeup where you were like, yes, I'm on
prank
right now.
Oh my God, I love her so much.
And the same thing happens when Christopher is dealing with the arm. It is his name. We have to specify because it's going to be different.
The Doctor.
9. When the Doctor is doing
you can say 9.
When 9 is doing his deal. Do we know that he's number 9?
Yes.
In the
I mean, it's not established, but it's the truth. I mean, if that's a spoiler, then kill me dead.
I can't remember them calling. He doesn't like refer to himself. It's like, no. I'm 9.
No.
So she also, I think she says something to him that's like, if you give a man she doesn't say this exactly, but I remember it's like, if you give a guy a plastic arm, basically he's gonna do that.
They're the same. Give a man a plastic hand.
Like she thinks he's faking until it attacks
She thinks he's
her.
fucking around. Yeah, she thinks he's fucking around. Which is so, I mean, honestly, I'd think the same because Christopher Eccleston is, he's like acting like a Muppet. Like the face he's making is so fucking it's really good. It's really funny, but it is very silly, and I get why she thought he was faking. But yeah, she's not. She's really smart and she's observant, but some things she just misses.
But she lives in a TV show where she's not allowed to know when things are wrong. At least for the first episode. I imagine after meeting an alien traveling to space, she's going to be a lot more like genre aware of what's happening, but she's not genre aware in this episode.
She's not in a sci-fi this episode. She's in a slice of life that goes horribly wrong. Oh, the music. What did you think of the score?
The music is hilarious.
I meant the general score, but we can talk about the theme music, sure.
Is it the thing? The score of the episode is funny. Like, it's
It is
very
funny.
thematic.
No, it is funny. There's one part where she first enters the TARDIS that is just gorgeous, but you'll see it, you'll notice it, it shows up.
He's gonna follow us.
The assembled hordes of Genghis Khan couldn't get through that door, and believe me, they've tried. Now, shut up a minute.
Murray Gold did the music for series 1 through series 10. And he's a master of his craft. He's really, really good at themes and motifs, and he reworked the original theme, which is just a grand old time, really.
I think that the most of what I remember from the episode is like spy music. Like, it's like early 2000s, like hokey spy music, which I really like.
No, totally. Yeah.
And it was ridiculous.
I've had enough of this now. And you then? Who's that lot down there? I said, who are they?
They're made of plastic, living plastic creatures.
I don't remember what it sounded like when she went in this, which is unfortunate.
It's fine. There were more important things happening, like Mickey's head melting. The doctor didn't notice that either.
But the doctor knew that there was a chance he was alive, so I guess it's fine. In the end,
he assumed. I don't think he would have cared.
Yeah.
But I love the scene where she first goes into the TARDIS, because she runs it. Well, she's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Essentially, she doesn't say that, but whatever. She's like, "What are you doing?" They should be allowed to say fuck. Oh my god, yes. Let characters in Doctor Who say fuck. She basically says, "What the hell are you doing?" She runs into the TARDIS. She looks at it. We don't see what it looks like. I love this. We see her face though, and she's like this face of just like complete shock. Like, shout out to Billie Piper. She just does this. She's a great actress, and she plays this I don't know, witness of something so otherworldly, obviously, and something more than in a really, really great way. And then she does the very obvious next thing and runs out.
Yeah.
And checks all around it and then comes back in. And then we see it. And what do you think of the TARDIS? What do you think of the interior? We don't see too much of her this episode, but she is there.
Yeah, I knew she was bigger on the inside than she is on the outside. Yeah. I kind of wish that I had felt some of the awe of that, but I didn't. But it's cool. Like, I like a spaceship that is also a telephone booth, because I think I wanted to look into this. Like, I don't know if there was any precedent for that kind of, like, I know that.
Is it a trope, you mean?
Yeah, like, I feel like it's not, right? Because Doctor Who is so old that they
probably started it. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of a thing in The Matrix. It's not really it's not like a spaceship, but in the first Matrix movie, Trinity, she escapes using the phone booth. But it's not like a police one. I mean, it's definitely like a thing, but
yeah,
it's probably something that Doctor Who started. Yeah,
because I think it changes in a lot of time travel stuff, where it's like, when you do have an object that's kind of like in charge of the time travel, it'll be. I'm literally only thinking of the car from Back to the Future right now. I'm sure there are, but like, it's other stuff. I like the idea of the phone booth. I think it's very. I think as time goes on, like, I don't live in England, obviously, common phone booths are, but like, it gets more and more out of place as time goes on, which is interesting. So
it is interesting that, I mean, it's from the 50s, I believe, or so he says. So the doctor's wrong. That's on him, not me. It's from the 50s, so he says, and I guess in 1963 that would be an okay disguise.
Mm-hmm.
But it is funny that, for reasons that I will reveal to you later, or maybe the show will reveal to you, it does not change. So depending on the context, it looks real silly.
Yeah, I haven't seen a phone booth in a really long time, so
I haven't seen a police public call box in ever.
yeah, I
And
don't
I
think
haven't seen a phone booth very often at all.
Yeah,
I see like phone, like, I wouldn't call them booths. They don't fully close.
yeah,
I
they're
see
like
them in like cities maybe, but they're more like little like parking. Like they don't have a, they
they're
don't
not
have four,
common.
they don't have four walls. Whatever. I don't live in New York City.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not common.
No,
I've never seen a police booth at all. Like I don't.
they're not an American thing. I don't think.
Yeah. Yeah. What is my next note?
Oh, my next note is Mickey earring. He has an earring. That's it.
Great.
And so does Auton Mickey, important.
I'm glad we. Oh, I didn't even notice.
Yeah.
We documented that.
He's also pro internet safety.
Yeah, in the age
It's
of
fun.
when people, I don't know
look at
what
my
it was
emails, which is the funniest thing.
Not to bring up no, it's Spy Kids. Not to bring up Spy Kids again, but the line where Junie says, "I didn't even get her email address," and he's like he's like really upset about it. It's so
good.
funny.
It's really funny.
Don't look at my email. It's really funny.
Don't look at my emails because I guess obviously the joke is like porn or something. But the funnier idea, and something that I'm going to accept as canon, is that Mickey just falls for scams really easily. Like, he's like, well, I have to help out this old woman. Like, do we think he thinks he's sending money to, like, a downtrodden prince or something? Because I think he thinks...
But he knows it's a spam email, and
that's
he
true.
still does it anyway.
He's just so... He's an empath.
He's like, there's a 5% chance that this is really a downtrodden prince. I need to make sure.
He's overcome with guilt. He's a good guy. Anyway,
but
it's real now.
But he knows it's not real. So also on like 95% of his brain, so he's like, Rose, don't look at it.
Yeah.
And then she leaves him anyway.
She sure does.
On internet safety, comments on Rose being a she because she went on the website, I guess, that has all of the information on the doctor.
Girls using the internet, that's crazy.
Wow! I had no idea that they could do that.
Okay, the line about, yeah, you want to use my computer, any excuse to get in the bedroom. I'm like, no, Mickey. She genuinely has to use your computer.
I didn't even remember that.
Yeah,
what
he said
weird
that. Family show. Oh, she also does the Bella from Twilight thing. I said this while we were watching. She does the Bella from Twilight thing of just looking up Dr. Blue Box, which is the funniest shit imaginable.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
As we said, this did come out before Twilight. I think.
It sure did. Twilight did the
Twilight
Dr. Who thing.
Stole it, and Stephanie Meyer owes.
Well, that was just a movie. I don't know if Stephanie Meyer wrote that.
I'm trying to tell a joke. No,
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
It could have been Catherine Hardwicke. I'm not like a Twilight mega fan, but I do know about her.
Sure. I think it's fun that they think that Clive thinks the Doctor. We're still on Clive.
We're still on Clive episode, baby. This is all about
Clive. It's all about Clive. Forget everybody else. Clive is the MVP.
That's what we should have named the podcast.
Clive.
It can be an acronym. We'll figure something out.
It's not too late yet. Speaking of, I had no idea that the TARDIS was. I thought that they called it that. I don't know what I thought it meant. I thought it was like the name of. I don't know. What's the name of the robot thing that Tony Stark talks to? Is it a robot?
There's a lot of them. There's like Jarvis, I think.
Oh, yeah, Jarvis is the thing I was thinking of. Is Jarvis an acronym?
I believe so, yeah. I think they're all acronyms.
I thought Jarvis was just a name.
But I think Jarvis is named after a real person whose name was Jarvis. It was like a post-acronym. It was like backwards. But yes, TARDIS is an acronym.
When you try to fit words into it to make it work as an acronym, and then
Tony Stark did. TARDIS started out as an acronym.
Yeah.
And,
you have to make sure that it's pronounceable. I don't know what I thought it was, but that was surprising to me.
Yeah, time and relative dimensions in space.
Does it get said a lot?
once or a few times a season, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if he even said it. I think he did say it this episode, but
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Surprising. I like that Clive thinks that the Doctor is dangerous because he says, as we're going through the horribly photoshopped photos, he's like, the Doctor has one constant companion, and it's death. It's like,
yeah, the actor really delivers. It's a good scene.
He brings the storm in his wake, and he has one constant companion.
Who's that?
Death.
It is interesting how he like interprets the shenanigans that he gets into, that his companion is death, which is also an interesting way of framing him, because it is I mean, I can't speak from a position of like too much authority, because again, I'm not a classics watcher, though I'm sure I'll get around to it. While it does get dark sometimes, the jump of immediately like, oh, he has one constant companion, it's death, I think that's a bit more new. And it's interesting that it goes that dark that fast. I mean, again, it's a family show, but yeah, I don't know. I like it.
Yeah. Well, so like I don't know a whole lot about the show, but I'm aware that he like takes, I guess, humans with him. I've assumed they're humans because they look like humans, but I don't know if he also takes like other aliens and stuff with him. But he like takes a person who's like his companion most of the time, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Rose becomes his companion, right? So
it is rare for there to be like a multiple string of episodes where he travels alone.
Yeah.
It happens, and that's all I'm gonna say on that.
And
we'll
I'm sure
when we get there.
Yeah. So I think I don't know if it's really irony or not, because I've only seen this episode, but it seems ironic because it's like he does have people who he's bringing along with him, and then it's like Clive specifically uses the word companion for
That's
that.
interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that, but that makes sense. Because the word companion is not like a new invention in the context of Doctor Who. It was always like the word used. That's interesting. Yeah, I guess people may have been expecting like this companion returns with him or something, but no, he's alone, which is new. I like that. That's fun. God, I love shows you can dissect like a bug.
I like that Mickey says, this is another question I had. It's not supposed to be a CinemaSins thing. I'm just wondering about it. Mickey says that the lava thing can talk, and it's making noises that are not comprehensible to me, at least. So I don't know if it was talking to him in English. This is my joke version. It was talking to him in English before the Doctor and Rose got there, and then it switched over because it was like, fuck the Doctor. I'm going to make this an inconvenient
my interpretation of that joke
conversation.
I was told was that it was like a they'll never believe you type like joke on Mickey specifically. That would be funny. Like, they won't believe you that I talk to you in like very cohesive English.
That's way better.
No, I think he
Yeah.
just meant that it was vocalizing.
Yeah. But I thought it was a funny idea.
I mean, Mickey was like a copy, so maybe it got into his head or something.
Mickey walks out of this episode, and he does speak lava monster now.
Yeah, that would be fucking awesome.
And he doesn't get to use it a lot, but it is a skill that he now has.
It's interesting that the Nestine consciousness that we've been calling the lava monster.
Sorry.
I promise I'm a fan of this show, and it's fine. It's interesting that he vocalizes, but not in a way we can understand. I mean, I think that was intentional because of the talk about the war. I think they wanted to keep things vague, but
yeah,
there are language barriers in future episodes, and they get around them with plot stuff. And it's usually not much of an issue. So it's interesting comparing the two. Like, it's not common that understanding someone else's spoken language is like a plot point. And it wasn't really in this episode, but it's interesting that it was like noticeable at all, because usually there is no like language issue.
Yeah. There's a I haven't read it in a while, but I'm a really big fan of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and that's one of the early-ish plot points, I think, is that the humans there's only one human. He's the only guy who gets off the planet, I think. The one human can't speak all of these different alien languages that he's going to come into contact with. So they put like a fish in his ear.
Oh, naturally.
That knows how to do, like, it does something to his brain chemistry, I guess. So I was thinking about that as it was happening. I was like, these are both like English, very popular classic sci-fi things. And it made some connection in there, but I do think that the whole like alien language thing is fun. Does the Doctor just speak a bunch of different alien languages for the most part? Also, before we go off on that, this is another credit to the writing. The idea of having, I think that's one of the things that makes it work really well, the war conversation, because there's a reason for why it's vague and a lot of writing. And I'm sure I've done this too. Like, I've never been paid to write anything in my life, like these people, so good for them. But like, you can't, there's a lot of writing that relies on like, I need the audience to not know what's happening right away so that they feel some form of mystery, but I'm not going to give much of a reason. I'm just going to have these characters speak in like really cryptic ways for no actual reason. Like it doesn't work in story, and I think that it works in story in this
works
episode
really well. And I'm so glad that it works to your point of view too, or from your vantage point, because I was like wondering, I'm like, does this only make sense if you're like watching it knowing some background stuff? But no, it still works for you, and that's great, because it's so cool that they can be cryptic and vague about it without pointing a giant neon sign saying this is important dialogue that is happening. Like, it's good writing. It's just good writing.
Yeah, it's all really it's all really natural. And I also haven't been watching a lot of reboots, but I know people are rebooting shows all the time now, and like the way that I think a lot of those, I shouldn't say this, a lot of what I understand about a lot of reboots is that they go very heavy-handed in that way. But I think the fact that this is just kind of like a jump forward in time is helpful.
And it's funny because the show we watched previously, the last show we watched together, which we did not do a podcast on, I don't know if anyone fucking could.
Thank God, I don't think we should. Yeah, I don't think that makes sense.
Was Twin Peaks: The Return, which is it's a direct continuation of the original two, and we're not going to talk much about it because if you haven't seen it, go fucking watch it. It's great. But it's a very different. They're very different shows. But a similar approach to the reboot question. It just directly continues.
Yeah. Also, weirdly similar, Dougie and his wife and fake Mickey and Rose, and not noticing that anything's going on.
Yeah.
For at least a minute. She figures it out eventually.
David Lynch should direct an episode of Doctor Who and or play Gordon Cole.
In Doctor Who?
In Doctor Who.
That would be so fucking good.
It's the same universe.
They used to put Gordon in Doctor Who.
Oh my god. Okay, so time for our end segments, if you don't mind.
Yeah. I don't think we need a whole lot more.
Yeah. So there's two things. We're gonna have like 3 episodes recorded before they start coming out. So by the time you're hearing this, and by you I mean you, dear listener, we have no like knowledge of how people are going to react to this, but we do have an email set up. It's called longwayroundpodcast@gmail.com. Send in questions. I'm going to be the only one reading them. So like, don't try and spoil Taryn, because I'm going to be reading them and I'll just not respond to them. But if you have fun questions or things you want to, fun facts or whatever, messages, review our podcast, please review it. We'd appreciate it. Contact us through longwayroundpodcast@gmail.com. We also have a Twitter, which is LWR podcast. Ugh, that's going to take a while to get. And I think we have YouTube called The Long Way Round. We'll be uploading then as soon as we upload anywhere else. But anyways, I do want to do a question section, but for now and for the first few episodes, we will not have that. So we're just going to have 2 things ending off the episode, which is most valuable player, MVP, and line of the week / line delivery of the week. Taryn, who is your MVP?
Jackie. I did say Clive earlier, but it's still Jackie.
I think I'll take Clive, so you can go Jackie.
Okay. I think Jackie is the MVP of the episode. I know that we were introduced to a lot of lovable people, but she was hilarious right out the door. And she also, we'll go on. Go ahead with Clive.
Oh, no, I was just going to say it's impressive that in an episode titled Rose, Jackie is the MVP. I mean, we have so much love for Rose, and I have so much love for Rose. We will get to the Rose love later. She was great in this episode. Billie Piper did a fantastic job. No, my MVP would be probably Clive. I was just shocked that he made an impression. I'm not even being like funny or ironic, like, oh, minor character, haha. No, he was genuinely really engaging. But for my joke answer for MVP, I would say it's out on Mickey's earring. That's my MVP.
Also great.
And what's your line of the week or line delivery of the week?
My line delivery of the week is also Jackie, which we already talked about.
I'm in my dressing gown.
Yes, you are.
There's a strange man in my bedroom.
Yes, there is.
Where anything could happen.
No.
My line delivery / line of the week is also from Jackie, skin like an old Bible, but also the point where she's talking about the woman who sued because she was told she looked Greek, even though she was Greek.
And I'm not joking about compensation. You've had genuine shock and trauma. Ariana got 2,000 quid off the council just because the old man behind the desk said she looked Greek. I know she is Greek, but that's not the point. Valid claim.
So we'll have more of a flow to these in upcoming episodes. I promise.
We just wanted to like throw stuff up
a bunch of shit at a wall. Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Which is essentially what Doctor Who is as a show. So it'll be fine. We'll figure it out. It'll be fine. Yeah. We'll create a flow and we'll figure it out. We got into a flow. We hit a groove at some point here.
And soon all of England will really like us. I forgot a joke that is no longer going to sound great because it's not going to be off the cuff. I do think this is the episode that can be summarized as what happens when you eat too many microplastics.
Should that be what we call the episode? A PSA against microplastics?
Sure. We'll decide.
Yeah, episode 1 of The Long Way Round. A PSA against microplastics. We did it. We came up with the episode title.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much for listening if you've made it this far. If you didn't, I don't blame you. But I do blame you.
Episode. We might be better.
Try next week's episode. If you're our friends, we love you dearly. If you're not our friends, I hope you become our friends.
If you're our enemies,
well, that's on you, I guess. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Wait a second. Bye.